All right, ready to dive in. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the Footscray Angliss Cricket Club. We've got a whole bunch of articles here, spanning years and years, giving us a glimpse into their journey.
Sounds like quite the history.
Yeah, and you know, it all started back in 1931, just a group of people wanting to play some social cricket. But here's the thing. They're still going strong all these years later.
Now that's impressive.
Seriously, they celebrated their 75th anniversary back in 2008. And get this, they were approaching their 90th in 2020.
Wow, that's almost a century.
Exactly. For a local club, that's not just surviving, that's thriving.
You got that right.
What do you think? What's the secret sauce? What makes them so unique?
What really makes you think, doesn't it? You see so many local clubs struggling to keep the lights on. And then you have Footscray Angliss going strong for almost 100 years. They must be doing something right.
Right. It's not just about the game. It's got to be something more.
Absolutely. It's got to be. It seems like it's their connection to the community.
Yeah.
And their ability to kind of, adapt with the times.
Yeah. Adapt with the times. Speaking of which, one of the big things that jumps out from these articles is the name change they went through in 2020. They went from Footscray ANA to Footscray Angliss.
A name change, huh? That's always a big deal.
Oh, yeah. And there's a lot of history behind that ANA part of the name. It stood for the Australian Natives Association,
Okay.
which was formed way back in the 1870s.
Wow, so go way
Back. And let's just say their membership policies back then were a product of their time, reflecting that whole white Australia policy that was prevalent back then.
Right. The White Australia policy.
Yeah, basically limiting immigration to Europeans.
Ah, I see. So we're talking about a time when, things were very different. And that policy had a huge impact, a long-lasting impact on Australia.
Absolutely shaping the country's demographics for decades.
And for the Footscray Club to have those ANA initials,
Yeah.
with all that historical baggage and carrying that into the 21st century, it's understandable that it became a bit of a sensitive issue.
Yeah, you can say that again. And the articles really highlight that internal debate within the club. You had folks like the vice president, Rohan James, who saw the ANA acronym as, disrespectful, especially to Indigenous Australians, given that the club's makeup was becoming more and more diverse.
Makes sense.
And then you have Michael Cox, the junior coordinator. He felt like the name just contradicted all their efforts to be inclusive, especially since they were planning on starting an all-girls team.
Wow, so it was a real point of contention.
Oh, yeah. It really shows how a name can carry so much weight, historically and symbolically.
Absolutely. It's not just a name, it's a whole identity. And we're seeing the kind of reckoning happening all over the world. Organizations, institutions, they're taking a hard look at their past, trying to make sure their identity aligns with today's values.
Yeah, it's not just about changing a name, it's about reflecting who you are now.
Exactly. It's about evolution.
And for Footscray, it wasn't just cosmetic, it was a real commitment to inclusivity, acknowledging that those old policies would have excluded so many people who are now a vital part of their community.
Right, and that's a powerful statement.
It is. And even those who were initially against the change, like Spiros Koziaris, the club's treasurer, he eventually came around.
Interesting.
Yeah, he admitted that he didn't see the club's history as tainted, but he recognized that they had to evolve to reflect their current values.
That says a lot about them, doesn't it? Their willingness to have those tough conversations, to listen to different perspectives.
It does. And in the end, a whopping 90% of the members voted for the change.
Wow, that's a clear mandate.
It really shows their dedication to creating a welcoming space for everyone.
Yeah, it's inspiring to see a club embracing change like that.
Now, every club has its legends, right? And in Footscray's case, we have Spiros Koziaris, the same guy who was initially against the name change. He racked up an incredible 400 games for the club in 2019.
400 games. That's dedication.
It's amazing, isn't it? And it really speaks to something else about this club, that sense of belonging, that loyalty, that keeps players coming back year after year.
Like a family.
Yeah, and what struck me was how Koziaris talked about his perspective on the game changing. As he became a veteran player, it wasn't just about winning anymore. It was about the friendships, the health benefits.
Right, the bigger picture.
Yeah, and he specifically mentioned the importance of community cricket for mental well-being.
That's so important.
It is, and it seems like Footscray Angliss really gets that.
Yeah, they seem to understand that it's about more than just the sport itself.
Exactly. It's about the whole experience. It's about creating a space where people feel connected and supported.
And that's something really special.
It is. It really is. Those personal stories, they really give you a glimpse into the heart of a club, don't they?
Yeah. You really get a feel for what it's all about.
And speaking of individual achievements, we can't forget about John Verdino. He took his 900th wicket.
Wow, 900.
A club record.
That's incredible.
It really is.
You know, that kind of achievement, it makes you think about the role of individual success in a team sport.
That's an interesting point.
Is it all about personal glory? Or is there something more, like contributing to something bigger than yourself? You know, the club's legacy.
Yeah, I like that. That balance between celebrating those standout performances and still maintaining that team spirit that's so important.
Exactly, because ultimately it is a team sport.
Right. And speaking of contributing to the club's legacy, let's talk about their facilities, specifically that new pavilion they opened back in 2016 at Angliss Reserve.
Oh yeah, I read about that.
$1.4 million upgrade.
Quite the investment.
It was a huge glow up.
It really was.
I mean, the articles described the old facilities as, well, let's just say they weren't exactly enticing.
I can imagine.
But this new pavilion with all the modern amenities, it's a statement, you know?
What kind of statement?
It's like they're saying, hey, we're here to stay. And we're serious about creating a top-notch experience for our players and for the community.
I see. Yeah, it's a commitment.
Yeah, and it's not just about fancy facilities. It's about creating a space where people want to be, you know, where they can connect and just hang out.
That sense of community again.
Exactly. It's about fostering that social side of the club, which, as we heard from Koziaris, can be just as important as what happens on the field.
You know, it's interesting you bring that up, because this facility upgrade happened around the same time that they really started focusing on junior development.
Oh, yeah.
They waived fees for younger players, introduced programs for different age groups, and really made an effort to create a welcoming atmosphere for kids and families.
That's smart.
It is, isn't it?
They're not just developing future talent, they're cultivating future members, volunteers, supporters.
Absolutely. It's a long-term strategy.
And you know those early experiences for young people. In a positive and supportive environment, they can have a lasting impact.
Oh, for sure.
Shaping their values, their attitudes towards teamwork, sportsmanship, community involvement.
Like planting seeds for the future.
I like that analogy.
Yeah. And it goes beyond just developing cricketing skills. It's about building character, instilling resilience, fostering a love for the game that can last a lifetime.
You're right. It's about life lessons.
Exactly. Lessons that go way beyond the cricket field.
You know, we've been talking a lot about the positives. But I'm curious about the challenges they faced over the years. I mean, almost a century in existence. It can't all have been smooth sailing.
That's true. Every club has its ups and downs.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the articles mentions a period in the early 2000s where they struggled with declining membership, especially in the senior ranks.
Oh, that's a common problem for a lot of clubs. People get busy, life gets in the way.
It does.
How did Footscray Angliss deal with that?
Well, it seems they took a multi-pronged approach. They launched recruitment campaigns, emphasizing the social and health benefits of joining the club.
Okay.
And they also introduced more flexible playing options to accommodate busy schedules.
So it wasn't just about attracting new players. It was about adapting to the changing needs of their existing members.
Exactly. It's about meeting people where they are.
And making the club relevant to their lives.
That's the key.
It is. And, you know, this adaptability, it seems to be a recurring theme in Footscray Angliss's story.
How so?
Or whether it's navigating societal shifts like the name change, responding to internal challenges like declining membership, or embracing opportunities like the new pavilion. They've shown a remarkable ability to evolve.
And to stay connected to their community.
Exactly. And that's what makes them so fascinating to study. They're not just a cricket club. They're a microcosm of the broader societal trends and challenges.
It's like a reflection of the world around them.
And it's a testament to the enduring power of community, the importance of adaptability, and the impact that local institutions can have on people's lives.
You know, as we move into the final part of our deep dive, I think it's worth considering what lessons we can learn from Footscray Angliss.
Yeah. What can other clubs, organizations, even communities as a whole take away from their experience?
That's a great question, and one we'll explore as we continue uncovering the story of this remarkable club.
It's amazing, isn't it, how the story of this cricket club, it's about so much more than just cricket.
Yeah, it really goes beyond the sport itself.
We've covered their beginnings, their evolution, their challenges, but I think what stands out most is their impact, their connection to something bigger.
It's about community, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. They're not just a club. They're woven into the fabric of Footscray.
That's a great way to put it.
We talked about their investment in junior development, but what about their impact on the wider community?
Well, the articles highlight some interesting things. They mention their involvement in charity events. Fundraising drives community outreach programs.
So they're really putting themselves out there as an active force for good.
It seems that way.
It's like they understand that their success is tied to the community's well-being.
Right.
By giving back, they're not just strengthening their own bonds, they're contributing to a more vibrant and connected community.
It's a win-win situation.
And it creates this amazing cycle. The community supports the club through volunteer sponsorships, a loyal fan base.
And the club gives back supporting local initiatives.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is.
And it all comes back to that commitment to inclusivity, which we talked about earlier. It's not just about welcoming players from diverse backgrounds. It's about creating a space where everyone feels like they belong.
Regardless of their age, their skill level.
Yeah, or their social standing.
Exact.
And that's reflected in their programs and their initiatives.
How so?
Well, they have teams for all ages and skill levels, from juniors just starting out to veterans who've been playing for decades.
That's great.
And they have social events that bring people together off the field. It's like they're creating a mini society within the club, one that celebrates diversity and fosters connections.
Between people who might not otherwise cross paths.
Exactly. And that can have a ripple effect, not just on the individuals involved, but on the community as a whole.
Breaking down barriers, building bridges.
Yeah, creating a more cohesive and harmonious society.
That's the power of local institutions like Footscray Angliss.
They provide a platform for people to come together, to connect, to contribute to something bigger than themselves.
It's about belonging, purpose, shared identity.
Powerful stuff.
It is.
As we wrap up our deep dive, I keep coming back to that idea of adaptability. Footscray Angliss has this amazing ability to evolve with the times.
While staying true to their core values.
Exactly. Whether it's the name change or the infrastructure upgrades, they've embraced change head-on.
And that's a crucial lesson for everyone.
Organizations, clubs, individuals. In today's world, you need to be able to adapt to thrive.
Couldn't agree more.
So what's the big takeaway here? What can we learn from Footscray Angliss?
I think it's a reminder that these local institutions, they matter.
Yeah, the ones we often take for granted.
They shape our communities, our lives.
They provide spaces for connection, for growth, for shared purpose.
And they offer a chance to make a difference.
To be part of something bigger than ourselves. So as you go about your day, think about the local institutions that have touched your life.
Maybe it's a sports club, a community center, a library.
Even a local park. Consider how they've shaped your experiences, your connections, your sense of belonging.
And maybe think about how you can contribute to their story.
To their legacy, to the well-being of your community.
That's a great thought.
Well, that's it for our deep dive into the Footscray Angliss Cricket Club. We hope you enjoyed the journey, and that it's inspired you to appreciate the power of local institutions and the importance of community. Until next time.